Hi everyone, my name is Sam. I'm from Ontario, Canada. Welcome to another interesting session today. And also, I want to thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. It means a lot to me. Thank you for the words of encouragement. Thank you for your messages. And, I really appreciate it so much, guys. Okay, so as promised, today I'll be discussing on different pathway to get your permanent residence in Canada. Different pathways to permanent residency in Canada. Okay, this will be the topic of today. Okay, so I'll start to explain what permanent residence is. Okay, I think it's self-explanatory. Yes, permanent means you at a place at a particular spot permanently, and residence means house or where you're staying. So permanent residence means you're staying in a place for a longer period of time. Let me put it that way, for a longer period of time. So how or what or how do I get this permanent residency, or what are the pathways in which I can get permanent residency to Canada? Okay, so now I'll be sharing with you guys the various pathways to permanent residency in Canada. Then I'll tell you the requirements that is common to all the pathways. So first, I'll start with the Federal Skill Worker Program. The Federal Skill Worker Program, that's through the Express Entry. That's number one. Number two is a Canadian Experience class. The Canadian Experience class, and you can apply through Express Entry as well. We have the third, which is the Federal Skilled Trade Program. Federal Skilled Trade Program, that's the third one. Then the fourth one, we have the Provincial Nomination Programs. Provincial Nomination Programs. Then the fifth one would be Family Sponsor. Family Sponsorship. Don't mind me, please. Family Sponsorship. Okay, that's the fifth one. Then the sixth is the pilot programs, and under these pilot programs we have a lot, but I'll just mention like three. Under these pilot programs we have the Atlantic pilots, that's number one. We have the Agri pilots, that's number two. Number three, we have the nursing or healthcare pilots. Then number four, we have the rural and urban pilots. There are a lot of pilots, but I'll just mention this four. Okay, so I've mentioned the various pathways that you can come to Canada on via the what's called permanent residency. Okay, I mentioned the Federal Skill Worker Program, that's through the Express Entry. Your application will be through the Express Entry. We have the Canadian Experience class, that's through the Express Entry. You have this Federal Skill Trade Program, that's through the Express Entry. Then I mentioned provincial nomination. Then under provincial nomination, it is two categories. You can apply through Express Entry. Then you can apply directly to the province, which is not through Express Entry, right? Then we have the Family Sponsorship. Then we have all the pilot programs I mentioned earlier. Okay, so there are things, regardless any pathway that you want to use, that of all that I've mentioned, there's something that is common throughout this application of pathways to Canada. Depending on the one that you want to use or the one that you qualified for, there's something that is very common between all these pathway. The first is you will write an English test. That's the IELTS English test. That's number one. Number two, you do your evaluation, education evaluation. That's number two. Number three, you need to get all your work references, your job references. Number four, you do police report. Number five, you do medicals. And then number six, of course, you do your biometrics. Then you submit your applications. Okay, these requirement is common to all the pathways. It is a must, okay? But in the case of, let's say, for provincial nomination, the English test requirement, the score, might be different from the one you need in express entry. These are just the differences. Or the English requirement test results for the pilot programs might be different from the one of express entry. Then the express entry uses more of a point grade, and also provincial too uses, but there are some things that that can give you some other points, but depending on the what's it called, the application you're putting in for, right? So, but writing English test is a must, right? Doing your education evaluation is a must. Doing your medicals is a must. Doing the police report is a must. Even in terms of what's it called, provincial nomination, if you're using a family as a point, maybe for Saskatchewan program or Manitoba, because if you have a relative in those areas, it will give you each point, which can guarantee you to be qualified for the provincial nomination in those areas. So these are the factors that you need, right? So then again, before you can put in for your PR application, there's something we call NOC. NOC, that is a National Occupation Classification. So before you can be able to go apply to express entry or provincial, you may need to check if your job role, your job title, or your level of study, maybe what you when you graduated, the course of your study is under that program. For instance, agriculture, you go and check the NOC code for agriculture. That's National Occupational Classification. You go and check it because you need to see that your job NOC code is on the list that is qualified for the program, right? So right now Canada has changed the process a little bit. I think they don't use NOC code anymore, but they use something like, I think, TEER, TEER, that is I think training, education, experience, and responsibility. That's TEER, right? TEER, training, education, experience, and responsibility. So these are the this is the scale that they use now to classify jobs, right? Instead of the NOC codes, they are using the TEER right now. So right now, before you can apply, you may need to check to see if the occupation you're doing or the job you're doing right now is qualified for the specific application under either the express entry or the provincial nomination. Okay, so I will talk a little bit on the first one that I mentioned, which is the Federal Skilled Worker Program. I'll just mention from a few things that you need to know under this program, then I'll continue in my next video. Okay, before you can apply for the Federal Skilled Worker Program, like I said earlier, you must have done your WES, you must have done your English English test, that's IELTS, right? Then what else do you need? You may need to fill a form, right? You may need to fill a form that I call the express entry profile, or let me say profile. You may need to fill an express entry profile. Then how is this express entry profile looks like? It is on this platform that you will be issued invitation to apply for permanent residency. You need to fill your application to submit all your documents under the platform of express entry, right? So under the express entry profile that I've created, if you meet up with the point grade required, the required point, if you meet up with the required points, then they will issue you invitation to apply for permanent residency. So what are the things that you may need to fill up on this express entry? I'll just mention all the requirements. Number one, you may need to fill your English test results. Let me say something about English test results. when you have less than 6 points in any of the modules for the English test, you won't be able to create the expert central profile. However, you may be able to do a provincial nomination, right? You may need to do a provincial nomination pathway. But if you have less than 6 points in any of the modules in English test, in your English test results, you won't be able to fill an expert central profile. That's the first thing that you may need to know. Then, so the second thing is your evaluation. They ask in the profile your evaluation in the level of your education in Canadian standard. So you must have done your WES evaluation, which maybe you've done the educational evaluation, either WES, ICAS or CES, depending on one you prefer. So you put the standard, your results, you put it there. Your age matters, your family size, your proof of fund, you know, these are the things that will sum up to give you a point. Then there's a designated point that you may need to meet before or surpass before you can be issued the invitation to apply for permanent residency. For instance, if the points today is 450 and you sum up your English test, your education, your proof of fund, your family size, your age, these are the things that will give you the points. So when you sum it up and you surpass the government required points, then you'll be issued invitation to apply for permanent residency. So this is where I'll leave it for now. In my next video, I'll be explaining deeper on the skilled worker program that I just mentioned and the other pathway to permanent residency. Okay, thank you for watching my video. Thank you for subscribing, guys. I'll see you some other time.